Hey, this is Misha from Armada Music, and today we have the lovely Juicy M in the house, and we're gonna talk about her DJ skills. So first of all, I want to ask you, how are you?
I'm good, thanks for asking.
And obviously we have a lot of questions for you from a lot of fans around the world.
Go ahead.
And it's all about your DJ skills. The first point that comes up is about the play and cue buttons. A lot of people are asking, how come that you always start with the hot cues instead of with the play button?
That's interesting. Wow, I never think about it actually as about something unusual. You know, it's just the way I started. Nobody really teach me how to do it.
But I've heard you went to a DJ school.
Oh yeah, yeah, I did. And at DJ school, I was learning how to play on turntables, not CDJs. And I started playing as a hip-hop DJ on vinyl, and then I switched to Serato. And that's where I started to preset cue points for every track.
Yeah.
And I really care of preparation now. Normally I preset 2 and sometimes 3 hot cue buttons for every track for different occasions. It just feels more natural for me.
Yeah, but it's also because you were so used to Serato that you were actually used to work with hot cues.
Yeah, exactly.
Aha, so
Yeah.
that explains a lot. Okay, Juicy, another question that is really on top of the list is about you playing without headphones, and especially in those videos that went viral all over the place. There were like 100,000 of people commenting on it, like how can she play so technical without the headphones? What is your story to it?
Wow. You know, there's so many people saying there is some sort of conspiracy behind it, but in fact it's very easy. I just don't feel that I need headphones once all my cues are already in track. And because I train at home without headphones, and of course because I train at home the way more than I perform in the beginning, it just came to the point that I feel myself more natural not using headphones, that's it. And maybe that's something from what came from my hip-hop era as well. You know, the way house DJs are mixing, they put the track on while volume is off and monitors it in headphones for more accurate mixing. But hip-hop DJs don't do it. They just put the track on with volume on. Of course it requires like additional training, and of course it requires more accuracy when you preset cue points and when you tap and play on the cue button on the player.
Yeah. Yeah, but now, I mean, why are you using the hip-hop techniques while you're actually playing house music?
But I think genre isn't important here, but we're talking about approach of mixing, and we call this style as hip-hop mixing. But it doesn't really mean you have to play only hip-hop like that. I think you can play wherever you like, and you should never listen to people who tell you that you're mixing wrong, because there is no rule book for that.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is to be creative and to create your own tricks, your own like transit from one track to another, not being stupid robot, like doing the same thing over and over again, but to create something new, something more interesting.
Yeah, I actually totally agree, and I can just imagine that maybe you feel like enormous pressure when you're on those big stages and then you show up without a headphone.
But you know, it's not really how big is the stage, it's more about how good are monitors in the booth. Because the monitors sometimes have really creepy sound, or they set up incorrectly, for example. So you can hear most main PA and monitor with slight delay. So you never know what's going to happen. And for that kind of situation, I always have my headphones with me for sure.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, maybe you can give us some advice on how you set up cue points, you know, and how you prepare, and this all without your headphones. So
yeah, for sure, I would love to. Yeah.
I'm sure your fans would love to see how you do that.
Yeah. So normally I preset a hot cue in 32 beats before the build up or drop, just depends on the track. So it's my main intro cue to start a track.
Okay.
The B hot cue goes in the middle if I want to play just a second part of the track, for example. Usually it's 32 beats before the breakdown, or right on a breakdown if the drop is really rich in sound or heavy.
Okay.
And this track is fine to put in 32 beats right here. So sometimes when I want to play just a drop of the track, or if I want to start a track with a drop, I put additional C hot cue on the build up before the drop.
Okay.
Usually it's still 32 beats, so it's really easy to remember when you have like 32 beats everywhere. Also, I always preset regular cues, one always on the beginning of the drop of the track, if I want to do a longer transition. And then the second one in the beginning of outer beats. If I want, so like it's very useful, I can see when the second drop is finished. It takes just the second drop to start it out, but it really helps tremendously.
Yeah, I can see that. Wow. Well, thanks for explaining this.
No problem.
All right, Juicy, thanks for showing this. I think this is very, very helpful for a lot of DJs out there. Actually, I have another question, and it's also a little bit of a complaint. Are you ready to hear it?
Yes, go ahead.
It's actually about the sync button. We actually hope you can tell us something about, do you use the sync button or don't?
I don't use it, and in fact, in my case, this button doesn't really do much. It just simply doesn't work when you start a track with Q button. I can show it.
I would love to see it. Let's go.
Okay, so I'll put 2 tracks and just press sync button. So magic is on.
Yeah.
Like it?
No.
You see, you still need to adjust the tracks even if they have the same tempo inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, I think, the hardest part, obviously, for the beginners.
For sure, you can clearly hear that.
Yeah, so when you start a track with Q button, the sync button starts blinking, showing it's no longer working. So no magic at all, you still will have to train.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you want the sync button to work properly, you will need to enable quantize mode, this small button right here.
Yeah.
So what this button does is when you tap and play, it adjusts the BPM grid of the track to the BPM grid of other track. So they synchronize immediately. Cool, right?
Yeah, very cool.
But you know, I still never use it, and I strongly recommend you don't use it neither. Unless you have new Pioneer players, Nexus 2, where you can change quantize value, which is really cool.
Okay, but what's wrong with quantize?
Okay, I will show you what's wrong with quantize. Where is my acapella? Okay, so I have this drop line. And I want to use it like this, for example.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to enable quantize and just do exactly the same sequence.
Yeah.
It's terrible. The player adjusts just every tap to every beat. And even if you don't like, or for example, never use this kind of quick tapping, you still need to check and sometimes to adjust the track. But, you know, the record box is already integrated in many cases. And even if the tracks have the different tempo inside, I think you're in big trouble then. So this checking and adjusting takes so much time, so it's just pointless.
Yeah.
I think it's just a way better to learn how to adjust your track manually, believe me.
Yeah, so you actually strongly advise not to use the sync and quantize.
No, I would say no, because sync button, I think, might be very useful in, let's say, creative mixing. If you want to do a tempo transition, for example.
Yeah.
So like before, how most of the DJs did it, they just loop small part of the track, usually in 4 beats, and starting in racing tempo to desired tempo. And, you know, sometimes this continuously loop starting to sound really annoying, and the mix sound integrated. But this sync feature enable, I think you can do really amazing stuff.
Okay. Is there any chance you can show us some examples of this tempo transition?
Sure, yeah, I would love to show you. I use this in my set sometimes. I just love this tempo transition. So when I'm in the sync button, so when I'm changing tempo of this track, it's changing tempo of this track exactly in the same way.
Okay.
So I can change the tempo in the same moment like now, and mix this track track like I'm the personnel, but also inflating the overall tempo.
Wow. Amazing. This is really a nice trick.
It's really cool. And you know, it's just a simple transition. Just imagine what can you do in a wide tempo range, for example. I think you can do really amazing stuff. Just stop being stupid and hate and start exploring the creative side of mixing and maybe create your own tricks. That's what DJ is about.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed what you did, what you showed us today, and I hope for the audience it cleared up a little bit about Juicy and her headphone story and the sync button and all that. And yeah, I'm really great to have you here in the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. You know, I think right now everyone considers DJ talent as music selection only, but I think it's just half of it. You not only have to be good in selecting the next track for your set, but also the way you present it.
Yeah, totally agree.